Zoomer. There we go. All right. So, welcome, folks, to another Job Wednesday. I am Jen Slattery with the League of Cities and Towns, and today we have our friends from Power Options, as well as the towns of Scituate, City of Providence, all to discuss some exciting energy opportunities. And I'm going to turn it over to Randy Rossi, our executive director, who is going to moderate the conversation. So thank you to all of you for joining us, and thank you to our guests for being here.
No, thank you, Jen. Thanks for pulling this together and with the whole team of Power Options and our municipal partners. I mean, it's always great when we get some of our entities to be a part of these conversations. And as we all know, it's always better to hear from our own. It's kind of like being part of the club. And once you're in the club, we protect the club. So we all got to stick together. And it's nice to hear when things are proven and work in those municipalities. The reprogram's been around for many years here with the league, and we're glad to continue running with that baton and making things easier for our municipalities while finding a way to save money and bring in new programs to make your life easier. It's unfortunate that here at the league that we're not able to jump on the program because we're not an entity, but we will find a way to work that into future contracts. But as all of you know, the league is in the stage is continuing to grow the services we provide, and partnering with Power Options, we've been able to do that and the energy sides of things. Besides the other areas that we're continuing to grow our programming, training, events, whatever it might be here at the league. So today's session is really going to give you an opportunity to, if you're not using REAP now, to maybe consider it. As your contracts are coming to a close, or even just to be able to put apples to apples, to have a conversation with Rita and the team to see whether or not it's good staying with your current situation, whether you're with a broker or some other entity using a different organization's contract. It's always better to have your options and know what's out there. It's kind of the unknown is a problem. And that's why these workshops that Jen puts together is really bringing it to make things to be the known. So it's great when people are able to attend and be a part of these conversations. So I want to first start off and bring Kristen on this and talk about what Power Options is and showing what a true nonprofit partner means, for our municipality. So Kristen, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Randy. It's really great to be here with you all. My name is Kristen Stelgis. I'm the Senior Vice President, Chief of Staff and Impact. And I just want to take a few minutes and a couple brief slides to show you what it is that you get as REAP members. So as a member of the league, you are automatically a member of Power Options. And we are really designed to be a nonprofit to serve other nonprofits and public entities. So we understand what it is that you're kind of up against, and we're really designed to do two things: to make your life easier and to be really cost effective and give you the best pricing that we possibly can, both in the procurements that we get for you. We pair with really strong protections, and then in the work that we can do to help you with your energy needs, be it in budgeting or moving your buildings to electrification. And I worked for the city of Somerville, Massachusetts for a number of years in a number of roles, and so really understand how much you're asked to do across a whole breadth of the community with such little resources. So we're really here to help you stretch those resources as far as possible. And so the benefits that you get is a dedicated energy team member. So for all of the Rhode Island municipalities, that's Rita Moran, who's here on the call, and you'll be hearing more from her later, so you can get to know her. But you also have access to our competitive procurements. So in partnership with the league, we've gone out and done the competitive procurements at a public procurement standard so that you don't have to. Using the procurement authority that the league has been given, you wouldn't have to go out to RFP to use these procurements. And they cover electricity, natural gas, solar panels, EV charging, electric school buses, building energy efficiency and electrification, known as building decarbonization. You'll be hearing about our Energy Information System, EIS, from David in Providence, but you can get a free trial for up to 10 of your utility bill accounts to help you track your usage and spend and pay your bills. And with everything we do, we really help you maximize the amount of incentives and grants that you can access. In addition to the great education and advocacy that you receive from the League, we have additional programming, conferences, and work that we do that you can have access to really help you understand things like how energy markets are moving so that you can understand when might be a good time to buy. We also have one coming up on our new offering for building decarbonization as a service so that you can start whole building decarbonization projects without having to put money up front. So we're really excited to bring that program to you. And just to get a sense, in addition to those member benefits that you get automatically, we really are here to provide you comprehensive support for whatever your energy and electrification needs are. So I won't go through this all the time or through the whole thing because it would take a long time. But if you're trying to put more green electrons into your system, if you're trying to think about how you use EV charging as economic development for your community, so you're bringing more people into your downtowns, if you're trying to electrify your fleets, if you want to take advantage of the financial benefits of solar before the federal incentives, and if you just want to make sure that you're saving as much money as possible on your electricity and natural gas, we are really here for you. And as Randy said, you know, I can tell you how great we are and what how serious we take making your lives easier and getting you the best deal possible. But the best way is to hear about it from the folks who have worked with us and who are kind of going through these challenges of thinking about how to meet the Act on Climate and local requirements around decarbonization, but also just trying to be effective with budgets. So I'm going to hand it back to Randy to lead the panel.
Thank you, Randy or Ronnie, or whatever I go by today.
I'm sorry. I was
No,
trying
as
to
long
say
as we go
Randy
with a
Rossi at the
positive name,
same time.
as long as we stick with an R, I'm perfectly fine with it because it'll be pretty close to one of my names that I go by. So no, thank you, Kristen. And we'll also make those slides available so you can cheat off of them later when we go through the test on the end. But we're going to start off really hearing from our municipalities, and I'm going to start with a jack of all trades and a good friend from the town of Situate. I'm going to start with Karen first today because there's not much that Karen doesn't do in the town of Situate. And, you know, and she's had a proven track record with REAP, and I'd love to hear more about what's going on in Situate.
Oh, thank you. I'm blushing. Thank you, Randy and Jen and the League for having me today. As I said, I'm Karen Beatty. I'm the Finance Director and the Assessor for the town of Situate. Been with the town for a long time. And so I have a lot of perspective and hopefully some tips for anybody considering taking on this program. So just to share an update of the town of Situate's participation in the League's REAP. The REAP is Rhode Island Energy Aggregation Program that allows municipalities to combine their energy purchasing power to negotiate better, stable rates. So for Situate, that means greater control over energy costs, more predictable budgeting, and potential for real savings. So getting started and staying current takes coordination and attention to detail. One of our first challenges in Situate was gathering a comprehensive list of all the town energy accounts. So some accounts were billed quarterly or even annually, and it's easy to miss an account. So a few were, like I said, we easily missed in the initial review. We needed to make sure that every meter and facility was included so that we could capture the full benefit of the program. We also had to decide which entities that we could include in the pricing aggregation. So beyond just town hall and municipal buildings, Situate would consider the school department, libraries, rescue EMA, and in Situate we have volunteer fire companies. So we wanted to include them if we were able to. Each of these entities have their own accounts. electric accounts and usage patterns, so coordination was key. Another important consideration was the contract term, how long to lock in pricing. So we reviewed options for 1 year, 2 year, and even multi-year terms. So shorter terms will provide flexibility if market rates drop, but the longer terms obviously are going to offer you stability and protection against future increases. We also learned a valuable lesson and experience in Situate. We had a prior energy agreement that expired, and during the gap period, before we re-entered the REAP program, we were exposed to current market pricing, which happened to be over a winter and was quite a lot more, or the rate was a lot more than we were locked in for. So those market rates were significantly higher than the rates we previously enjoyed. So that experience underscored one of the ongoing challenges of energy management was tracking the contract expiration dates and renewing agreements in a timely manner. Missing even a short window could have a noticeable impact on energy costs. So despite the challenges, the REAP program offers a clear advantage for Situate. First, we locked in pricing and it protects our town from market volatility, and it will shield our budgets from sudden spikes. Second, long-term stability in budgeting. Predictable energy costs help our finance team plan more effectively, ensuring that we can allocate funds to essential services without worrying about unexpected utility increases. And thirdly, potential savings. So by pooling demand with other Rhode Island cities and towns, Situate gains the competitive bulk pricing that's typically lower than we could achieve on our own. So over time, these savings can add up to significant taxpayer value. So just in summary, Situate's participation in the REAP energy program strengthens our ability to manage costs responsibly. We've learned importance of thorough account tracking, thoughtful inclusion of all our departments, and careful attention to our contract renewal timings. So through REAP, we're locking in pricing, we're achieving stability in our budgets, and positioning Situate to save money over the long term, while partnering with communities across Rhode Island to make smart collective energy choices. Hopefully you find some of these tips helpful and consider participation in the program.
Oh, Karen, thanks so much, and that's awesome. And I know too, you've also appreciated the benefit with those stop gaps by having Rita and the team also watching on your behalf. So it's also nice not to have to keep that on the top of the list every day of what contract's going to do what. So it's all about the team effort, and no, that's awesome, and I'm glad to hear that about Situate. And as you know, as we look at all 39 cities and towns, no one is the same. And no one is the same size, no one has the same issues or you know, building usage or whatever it might be. So that's why it was important too that we also brought Dave Ruggiero from the city of Providence and what they're doing with REAP, which is a lot of the same stuff, but additional things that the city of Providence are using based on their size and their usage. So you know, I'm gonna hand it over to David, and he can tell about all the fun stuff going on in the city of Providence. And I don't hear all the beeping and everything going on that I hear going by my window. So he must have the better microphone than I do. But no, I'll hand it over to David.
Thank you, Randy. And right from the start, I'm going to contradict you and say all municipalities, big or small, have the same challenges. And I could also say whatever Karen said is true in Providence. But my background is a little different in that I think for the last 12 years, I've spent the better part of my professional life looking at utility accounts and portfolios. I spent 7 years with the Better Buildings Challenge, the DOE program, and the last 5 years working for different municipalities in Massachusetts and now in Rhode Island, really diving into their utility accounts and their portfolios for benchmarking purposes. What I came away with is an understanding or some insight in that all municipalities, you're an exception if these four things don't hold true. You don't have any idea what your accounts are. You don't. Karen said that. I've revamped the portfolios for Norwood, Massachusetts, Walpole, Sharon, Massachusetts, and now the city of Providence. You don't know what you have. You have to take a deep dive. You don't have many accounts that are under contract, which can be problematic. Even if you do have them under contract and that expires, which Karen experienced and what I saw in Providence, where everyone's paying $6 a decatherm, and the winter rates go up to $30 a decatherm, and you're not covered by a contract. That's a budget killer. Multiple contracts can also be very difficult. Does your school sign up for one program? Does the municipality for another program? Trying to get everything under one contract is important. And it's not always the case. And then there's also the problem of executing contracts at the wrong time. I love the city of Providence. I'm not a native of Rhode Island, but it's really stuck to me. But one thing that really irked me was they had a 12-year history of always buying energy at the very highest point of the market. It's as though a vendor came along and said, now's a good time for you to buy energy. They benefited, the city didn't. So with that in mind, when I came to Rhode Island, when I came to Providence, I knew, okay, I need better control. I need some understanding of what the accounts are. And just order of magnitude, the city has almost 800 utility accounts, electric and gas, about 700 about 650 electric and about 130 gas accounts spread over four different really divisions: the city, the school, the zoo, the parks. So there's a lot of confusion there, and trying to bring it some control and understanding was important. And getting a second set of eyes, as has been said several times today, I think is the most important part of one of the greatest things the REAP program offers. So that's what we really set out to do, which is let's make sure we get every account in one portal. We now have them in two, the Rhode Island Energy Portal, and we also use Power Options EIS as a energy management platform for both paying bills and tracking our consumption. So we did get a second set of eyes. We are able to sit back and say, okay, let's take a look at the markets. How are they trending? When's the best time to buy energy? And you're not running around trying to figure out what accounts to put on. That's Power Options job. That can be done through EIS. We have several layers, fail-safe layers, as it were. And we can budget based on previous history. And we're always looking to buy, and we're not buying long, we're buying year or two blocks of energy, but we have a set budget approved by City Council that finance tracks. And since I've gotten here, we've always come in under budget. Part of that is I budget long, so I look good when we sign a short contract. But with the help of Power Options and weekly check-ins and weekly reports, when we saw our electricity dip the other day, a few years ago, we saved $1.2 million against our budgeted electric supply over a 16 or an 18-month period of time, which is huge. That's a lot of money. So really, it's control and understanding. And we use the REAP program for for, of course, energy supplies, both gas and electric. We procure solar, batteries, and EV charging as well. So it's really a comprehensive strategy under one roof, going through the league, our partnership with Power Options. And I had worked with them in the past with other municipalities. So find that it's alleviates a lot of the angst, gives a second set of eyes, and a lot of information right at our fingertips so that we can save money and really plan for the future. As most of with the state rebuilding most of the schools, we have electrification going on throughout the Providence schools, a lot of our municipal buildings are being electrified now, and all of a sudden we go from consuming 32 million kilowatt hours. When I first got here, we're up to 40. We're expected to be north of 42 this year. That's a whole nother strategy in buying energy that I don't have experience with, but through the REAP program, I can get that experience. So we're looking forward to more savings. And that's what I have for you, Randy.
No, David, thank you so much, and thank you for putting some light on a lot of topics. So that's very important, especially when we're talking about energy. So let's get into the kind of the discussion area of this morning. That was a great overview of both, your challenges in each of your municipalities and the benefits that you've had with REAP. But what's truly one of your biggest challenges with energy or decarbonization, and how has REAP helped with those challenges thus far? And I find whoever would like to go first, if Karen or David, please feel free. We'll let Karen go first. I always we'll go back and forth that way. So if Karen, you'd like to go first.
Sure. So the biggest challenge we had was gathering those account numbers and making sure it was comprehensive enough. And I got to say, Rita Moran at Power Options was just invaluable. And she was such a terrific resource to help make the process as easy as possible. She was really a terrific advisor also on timing and recommendations on like how long we should contract out for. But the initial challenge was gathering the account numbers, and we were finding that now that we have this program, we'll be able to have more budget certainty.
Great. No, thank you. Thank you, Karen. David, how about on your end? Because I know definitely too, you guys have been also working on the decarbonization end of things.
Yeah, we're using we're creating a decarbonization plan for all of our buildings. And again, I should be wearing a Power Options t-shirt here. Why don't I have a Power Options t-shirt? We're using Power Options in their building decarbonization roadmap. So I think it is understanding the accounts and the high use accounts. G32 accounts. I don't know how many people have them, or if you know how many you do have, but they do qualify through Rhode Island Energy and through ISO New England for curtailment programs. So really, as we look to decarbonization, we know that electricity per BTU costs more than gas, but we get cooling in our buildings because of heat pumps, and we have greater levels of efficiency. All of the schools that are being built or renovated, all of the municipal buildings that we're touching now, thanks to Rhode Island Energy, have state-of-the-art BMS systems, building management systems. And, you see the, what is it, the Staples Easy button and the big red button, and everyone has them on their desk. Everyone laughs, but, don't laugh. There are, software packages which you can link to your BMS systems, and you just hit, roll back the building controls, and you can save money. ISO New England, Rhode Island Energy will pay you to participate in these programs. All of a sudden, energy procurement becomes a revenue source as well as an expense. And I think it's been the biggest challenge, really strategizing and convincing, how do I put this diplomatic, elected officials, hey, this is a good idea, or contract boards. So the REAP program, and I'm going to take a little pride here, and I'm not quite sure why. The REAP program was actually put forth, 10 plus years ago, 12 years ago, change in legislation by Rep. Deb Ruggiero. No relation, but I found it interesting that there was a family name there. But convincing the Providence Board of Contract and Supplies, whenever we go with a new contract, saying through the REAP program, what is the REAP program? How do we know this is actually a valid program? And how do we know we can save money if we participate in a curtailment program? That's probably the biggest challenge, and the assistance that Power Options brings through the REAP program to help strategize. I just got an invitation. We're meeting with some of the mayor's officers, I think next week, to strategize. That has been the biggest challenge and the biggest help of the program is how do we move forward in a new way to save money and create revenue streams.
Cool. No, David, that's great. Thank you. And I want to move on to another topic to kind of compare services, just to kind of get an understanding is if, you know, both of you or either of you had this experience, and I don't know, you know, where the issues were before that Karen dealt with in Situate, but having dealt with either a broker or a for-profit consultant before versus, you know, joining the REAP program and working with this great nonprofit team. If either of you had an experience, and we'll start with Karen on that, you know, how that was for you.
So in Situate, I didn't have that experience dealing with any other brokers. We had been partnering through REAP for a period of time. We just signed a recent contract. We're locked in through 2027. And there was a small gap where we did not have any coverage or any locked in rates. Before that, we did have another agreement. But prior to that, we did not have any, we didn't leverage any purchasing powers or anything through the REAP program. So happy to join on into it and experiencing now the budget certainty at least. So
Awesome. Awesome.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Karen. David, how about on your end with working with brokers or consultants in the past?
Yeah, I've done both, and simultaneously, I will say that you know, I've met brokers that care and that get it and understand, but I've met a lot more and unfortunately done some business that don't care at all. I get a lot of calls because it's the city of Providence, because there are a lot of accounts and perhaps a lot of money to be made from brokers saying, "Look, we'd love to take a look at your bills. If you could just send us the latest copy of your bills, we'll give you an analysis of how much you can save." I said, "Great, I'll mail them to you. I have 775 bills that I'm going to send to you." And they're like, "Well, what do you mean 775?" It's like 775 utility accounts I need you to analyze. And they start freaking out. One thing that you can separate, I guess, you know, the the players from the pretenders is if anyone's interested, just ask Rhode Island Energy for access, and I can sign off, and you can get access on this information. Don't burden me with, you know, your business development. I mean, they have a right to it. It is public information. But find a broker who cares and who gets it and who's going to talk to you regularly. Again, you know, it's great when a broker shows up in January in the middle of you know, a cold snap and say, "Hey, you should sign a 5-year contract. You know, it's, you know, 20% above what the REAP program would offer or more." No, you should be signing your gas contracts, you know, in the fall when there's no heat and there's no cooling and the markets are low and everything is aligning. That's typically when we're signing contracts during the shoulder seasons. So find someone, and you have someone through the REAP program who has your interests at heart as well. So.
Oh, perfect, David. And I've experienced all sides, you know, of working with brokers, and yes, there are some that, you know, are there and want to do the right thing, and others that don't care. But in the end, I mean, they are for-profit businesses, and in the you know, the most important thing is making money. Where with having this partnership and the way that it's set up with the league, you know, it's going through a nonprofit entity. You know, they're here just to make well, to be able to service us, as well as, you know, that there is an offset that the league receives and helps lower the membership costs for all of our members. So there is no profit end to this, and the only vested interest is doing what's best for our municipalities. So I want to go on to Rita now and kind of talk about how you approach working with our REAP participants and, you know, and meeting their needs. So if you can kind of give a little overview of that, Rita.
Sure. Well, you know, as Kristen started off, we, you know, we help our members with commodity, with budget tracking, and also with transforming how they use energy. And the first step is give me a call. And as Karen had mentioned, you know, we like to make sure that we're working well in advance with all of you to make sure that you have all of your accounts so that you know, you don't have the experience of having to lock in pricing outside of your main contract. And that does mean that we ask for a utility form, and that gives permission for the suppliers, you know, as Kristen had mentioned, we do a procurement to find the best supplier for electricity, for natural gas, for solar, et cetera. And then we monitor the pricing to make sure that they're adhering to the bid that they won. So they do need a utility form in order to be able to get the data from all of the accounts. And I think want to just pause and just let you know that there's also something called a letter of exclusivity, and we do not require a letter of exclusivity. Letters of exclusivity are often requested by brokers, and in essence, what they do is it protects the broker. So we advise our members not to do that. The utility form is simply to be able to enable the information exchange between our supplier and the utility. The next step, you know, step 2 is to really actively monitor the energy market. And that's part and parcel of what we do. It's the bread and butter of Power Options that we are monitoring, you know, all the different factors that go into energy, and the way that we try to keep our members apprised of that. You know, we do have we have a market insight that comes out monthly. We have we have the ability to give you market insights on a weekly basis so that you can actually understand what's happening and what the trends are. And we can actually, for your load profile, we can actually have something that's as frequent as daily to just show you indicative trends of what's happening in the market. So that's kind of like step 2, is once we get all of your accounts solidified, then we start monitoring the market. And the other thing that we'd like to do, you know, kind of step 3, is we'd like to also really understand what your strategy or what the best strategy is for your community. That could involve, you know, sometimes, as David had mentioned, gosh, locking in 100% of your power in the middle of the winter is probably not the best idea, because pricing tends to be high. But then if you're actively monitoring the market, you can actually find those dips and lock in either 100%, or if you wanted 50% of your energy. So so that is a kind of a layering strategy, and we can do those more complex buys, or we can keep it really simple, you know, and it's all about listening to you and what the needs are in your community, and then tailoring things so that the information is what you need. And that kind of leads to kind of step 4 is communication cadence. How frequently would you like to be hearing about energy? Because your plates are full of looking at so many issues that are going on in the communities. And I want to thank you all for what you do for everyone who lives in your communities. So we don't want to be a burden with giving you too much information. We want to be able to give you the information that's going to be helpful to you. So that's just kind of a little bit about how we work with the Rhode Island League of Cities and Towns members, and the benefits that you get from it, in addition to everything that Kristen had mentioned, was Power Options has been purchasing, you know, basically doing procurements on behalf of our members since 1998, when deregulation started happening. And we are unique in that we provide contract protections so that if your usage goes up or down, there are no penalties associated with that. And we're passionate about having that protection because of the fact that we want people to have the ability to put in solar, to do energy efficiency, to do electrification, and all of that creates some uncertainty around how and when you're using energy. And again, that's a protection that you get under the power options contract that you don't get with standard supplier contracts. We also have a parental guarantee so that the parent company of the suppliers with whom we work, they actually have to endorse and guarantee the pricing that the folks that purchase through the power options contract, if anything were to happen to the supplier, they need to actually keep the member whole and receive the pricing that they had contracted for. That and that actually has been an incredible experience to see folks that have gone with a supplier recommended by a broker, and then the broker in the middle of the winter decides that they're not going to be doing business in a particular state. What then happens is you go back to the service of the utility, which the winter has been, in the last 10 years or so, we've really seen those electricity prices being exorbitant during the winter. The other thing is that if there are changes in law, and that has started to become much more frequent, where legislative changes or ISO New England changes happen and there's a legitimate change in law, with power options, we don't allow the changes in law to be automatically passed through to our members. We scrutinize and verify exactly what is happening to make sure that if those changes in the law need to be passed through, we're making sure, number one, that it's accurate, especially under the power options contract. The other piece of that is to make sure that we're proactively communicating about it, because we don't want a member that is tracking their budget to all of a sudden see a change that increases the cost. We're very proactive in making people aware of that. So so that just kind of gives you a little bit of an idea. We can keep things very simple, and we have the ability, again, the key thing to me is listening to what you need and seeing what we can do to help.
Perfect. Thank you, Rita. So I'm going to do one more round with our two municipal entities here and kind of close things up. And this is going to be kind of like, giving advice to your younger self. So what advice do you have for each of the other municipalities as they think about how to deal with the rising energy costs and how to meet the state and local climate goals? So if you have advice for your younger self or our brother and sister communities, what you'd share. Karen?
Sure. Well, I would certainly recommend contacting Rita right away. I wish we had done it sooner. There was some questions in Situate where a prior administration had purchased credits on our electric bills, whether we could still participate in the REAP program because we had credits on our electric accounts already, but they're separate from each other. So we were able to do both. We are able to continue to do both. So again, I would just contact the professionals. I'm an assessor and a finance person and do HR. I'm not an electric person. I don't know that world, and they are super smart and have terrific advice and will do the legwork for you, really. Timing was another thing. In our town, we have a town council form of government. So it was a matter of getting the council on board, getting their approval, and then waiting for when was the time to sign. So that was just something to coordinate. That's what I would recommend.
Cool. Thank you, Karen. David?
Yeah, I'd mirror that. I think two words came up is just get organized and get connected. Organization, we've talked about getting everything under one roof, one contract, know what your accounts are. But as much as I've been involved in this industry and consider myself a utility or an energy professional, I don't know it all. And the more I talk to people, inside Power Options, outside Power Options, inside City Hall, anyone and everyone can add to the conversation so you can make more informed decisions. And again, if you are building new, if you are electrifying, one of the one of the annoying parts about that is the schools have these buildings that all of a sudden you find out, oh, you tore the building down 5 months ago and you're still paying a utility bill there. Well, why are you doing that? Because I don't have the information that I need. And God bless the utility, they'll say, oh, we're not getting a meter reading, we'll just estimate it. So literally tens of thousands of dollars going out the door that you have to work hard to get back coming in. So getting connected, it's both internally with the municipality you work for, with the community you're servicing, and then the larger energy sector outside. Go to ISO New England events. They're great. You'll learn a tremendous amount of information. NESI events, any free event that usually comes with beer and hors d'oeuvres. It's a wonderful evening out. But talk to those that know as much as you or more than you, and have a different perspective. That's my advice. So.
Perfect. No, thank you, David, so much. And yes, it is always nice to have the extras at those events to help entice staying. So as we wrap up, I kind of want to have Rita kind of just briefly talk about how to access REAP, how to start the conversations, and before we open it up for questions. So Rita, back to you, how to track you guys down and kind of get our members connected with you that might want to have the conversation and haven't thought about it before.
Yeah, no, the key thing is give me a call, give me, send me an email, just even, let me know right here, if you're interested in talking, and we can get time set up so that I can listen to what your needs are so that we can tailor an approach to keep it easy for you.
Perfect. Perfect. So does anyone have any questions? We got, great experts on here. We got, a fun group of people here. So if anybody has any questions, we're more than happy to answer. I see Rita's information is right in the chat for you too. And I know Jen will circle around some information with the slides after, to everyone as well. But if you have anything while we're on here, please feel free, just raise your hand or turn your mic on or whatever makes you happy. See, I think what it was that the speakers just covered everything, and I can understand that there's no questions. But I thank everyone for joining us today. I know I'm going to hand it back to Jen before I actually shut up, anyways. But to the Power Options team, thank you to Karen and David for participating and really providing a lot of great insight for us. And it's really the only way to know is knowing from people that have actually gone through the process and had the experiences. So, I thank both of you very much. And it's all yours, Jen.
Thanks, Randy. I think you said it all, but I would also add my thanks to everyone for joining today and for our guests for being with us and sharing their experiences. I will, as I said, this is being recorded, so it will be uploaded by the end of the day to our YouTube channel, and I would be happy to share that out with you all if you have colleagues that might not have been able to attend but are interested. So if you do have other questions or need a connection, please don't hesitate to contact me and I will put you in touch with the right people. Thanks again for joining us, and thanks. Hope you have a lovely Wednesday, workshop Wednesday. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Right. Thank you.
Take care. Bye.